Can you understand me?
Hello everyone, Kier here, and welcome to the InfiNOT podcast. I'm focused on the casual nature of the game, and each week I discuss the new patch, the new card, and my feelings in the game. Let's hop into it. So, this week was the new Young Avengers season that dropped on August 2nd, I believe. It also came with 2 new cards, so we'll definitely talk about that. And now that leagues have been sort of rolled out, I'll also talk about my feelings on that because I have a couple of things to say. So let's start with the new season that dropped. The new season pass looks pretty great. I love all of the variants. Flaviano is one of my favorite artists in the game, so I'm very excited to earn the new America Chavez and Scarlet Witch. But let's get into the meat and potatoes. Hawkeye Kate Bishop was released. She's a 2/3 that adds 2 arrows to your hand, and these arrows can do a multitude of things. You have like a mini Green Goblin, you have a Hawkeye, you have an Ant-Man, and you have sort of like a reverse Ghost Spider. Honestly, I really like Kate, and I'm starting to put her into the decks where I'd usually put Jeff, and it feels pretty good. Obviously, there are going to be differences, right? Jeff can get you into some pretty nice locations, and these, arrows that Hawkeye gives you don't necessarily replace that role, but she does fill your curve extremely nicely, and, the acid arrow is just amazing. On its own, it's like a better White Widow, which is just so valuable in this game. I have experimented with her in a couple of lists, but again, the list that I'm finding that she works best in is when you just need a generic, I need to fill my curve. I almost want her to go into the same decks that Snow Guard goes in, but obviously you're filling your hand so much. Honestly, something I haven't tried is like just doing a Devil Dino deck, but throwing in Snow Guard, Kate Bishop, and maybe some of the newer cards like Mirage. That seems pretty fun. I'm talking myself into it. I might try that later. I really like this card, is the message here. Really fun. It doesn't disrupt the game to an enormous degree, and I feel like she's just perfect the way that she is. Another card was also released during this week, and that's Marvel Boy. Marvel Boy is a 3/2. After each turn, give 3 of your 1-cost cards plus 1 power. Now, I decided to skip on Marvel Boy, mostly because the decks that I'd want to play him in are not my favorite in the game. Zoo isn't something that I've particularly loved. I do like Thanos lists, and I do think that he has a place there, but, in that list, I'm trying to do other stuff too, and I'm happy just filling the board with, Dazzler and Boo Marvel, so I will say, though, in the decks that I've seen Marvel Boy, he's more flexible than I thought. Especially if you're doing, that mid-range Athena and Kitty Pryde deck. He goes really well in there. There is obviously a lot of 1-cost cards that you want to buff. And obviously, it should be said, right? This card is amazing in the Zoo lists with Gilgamesh. It's just free value. Now, there is a little bit of tension, because when you're trying to fill your curve, sometimes you want to play Kyera when Killmonger is in the meta. And it's hard to play both of those cards, because then you're off curve, and then you're missing a Khazar into your Blue Marvel or whatever. So there's a bit of, tension there, but I do think that he's going to have a place in the game for a very long time. His stats are just off the charts, and having the ability to buff stuff up, I've even seen him in Destroy decks to buff the Deadpool, which is crazy. But it works, right? Because if Marvel Boy is in a lane that you're not trying to destroy, Marvel Boy will buff your X-23, your Deadpool, even the Nova, which, you don't love to see it that way, but it does boost up your Null later on. So, yeah, really, really good card. I don't know the staying power of Marvel Boy, but we'll see. I have a feeling that he and Kate are actually going to mesh really well into the game, especially in the meta that we're in right now. Now that Arishem isn't a tyrant like he used to be. So those are the 2 new cards. And those are, I already talked about the Flaviano variants, which I'm very happy about. I will say, the new album for the Flaviano, it's weird because I'm a huge fan and I have like a pretty good collection of Flaviano, but I think they have 3 new variants that you need to buy in order to complete the album, which kind of sucks. I'm not gonna lie. Will it, just deter me from getting these variants? Probably not. But I'm a gold pass enjoyer, and I don't intend to spend more money, so it's almost always going to be the case that they're going to try to incentivize you to buy more variants. I just wish, as a consumer, that I didn't have to. But it is what it is, right? Moving on from those 2 things, Leagues also came out, and I gotta say, I was really excited for it until I learned that you can play Conquest. And right now, there's a lot of degenerate strategies going on. Essentially, people are retreating against each other for the entire round. And the reason you do that is because you actually get points for when your opponent retreats. And if both players retreat in Proving Grounds, game after game, you both get 500 points towards the leaderboard in the league. So, like, the rewards at the top, like the new Deadpool emote and the black map borders, those are cool and all, but I'm not even close. Like, I've been playing the game a decent amount. I'm at, like, 2,000 points or something, but the top guy is at, like, 8,000, and then I almost guarantee you it's because they're using this exploit, which is really disappointing to see. I would have thought that they learned their lesson from Deadpool's Diner when people started exploiting that using a similar mechanic where you retreat in order to optimize the mode. There is a sad truth, which is that gamers are going to optimize the fun out of everything. I think that was a quote from a game designer. And in this case, I see it in full effect. But why would they allow you to get points in the league for doing Conquest? Whenever you're providing rewards on a leaderboard like this, you need stakes. Otherwise, I could just play Proving Grounds forever and win or lose. That's less risky than going on the ladder, right? I really wish they would hammer this stuff down, but you have to give them some slack, right? They're not a big budget studio. They are an indie company, but it's still, it grinds my gears, really, that they've made this kind of mistake again. And this sort of league was supposed to be an easy rollout to sort of prove that they could handle making something in the game without it being exploited. I was really hoping that this would solidify it in my mind, but it's not. Now, I will say they did try to compensate for it. I think they're giving out the most of the rewards to every player. But anywho, it's a case where I want to be excited about the mode, and I think that it's cool that they're giving out free rewards just for playing the game. And I'd be happy with just the mid-tier reward where you get the blue border. I'm all for that. But it's just another miss. It's another miss. I really want to see them hit a win. All of that being said, I am feeling pretty good about this season right now. There's a lot of clog and disruption, which isn't my favorite to play against, but the meta is a lot more open. I can play a lot more decks again. And the new alliance bounties are making me play decks that I wouldn't normally play, and I'm having a lot of fun. So actually, we could transition to that. I've had some time to play through some of the bounties, and I have to say some are easier than others, right? The thing that struck me as the hardest was the moving 7 cards in a match. It's really tough, and you would think that having Heimdall would make it easy. But most players, when they know that they can't win, they'll retreat on turn 5 when you're about to play that Heimdall. So it's a lot harder than you would at first think. The Destroy 8 is also pretty tough. It's doable. I've seen some people cheese it by playing Squirrel Girl and then doing Shauna and then doing Killmonger, and that basically gets you there. But for a normal Destroy game, you usually get 5 or 6, but 8 is a high number. That's enough to make death free, so I kind of get the flavor there, but they could probably make it easier. Some of the other missions I'm not a huge fan of. mostly just because they're difficult. The ones that strike me is the win a location with 10 or less power. That's pretty tough to do. And, especially when they chain it together with, like, the epic bounty, and you have to get, like, 3 or 4 or whatever, that's tough too. And, I don't know if this experience is universal, but after that first week, and I checked my inbox, it was just all boosters. And, boosters are cool. They do help with progression. I think I got my helicarrier upgraded, which is, cool. But trying to get, even just credits through alliances is really, really tough. You would have to have a pretty active alliance to get there. And maybe that's, by design. And I should just be happy that I'm getting anything. But I don't know. I kind of was hoping that I would get, at least, 100 credits or something. But again, it is what it is. I understand that this is still the first rollout of the mode. We'll see where it goes from here. And yeah, that appears to be everything that happened this week. I would also say, if you're still looking for an alliance, you can find us at INF. That's the tag. InfiNOTs. It's still wide open for anybody to join. There are no requirements. You can just hop in. And I'm not going personally, but SnapCon is really, really soon, and they're still selling tickets. You still have a week left. So if you're on the fence and you want to meet some of your favorite creators, I'm not sponsored, by the way. I should clarify that. But if you want to meet some of your favorite creators in Marvel Snap, there are a lot of people going, and I'm sure that it's going to be a blast. Last year, I heard that it was a lot of fun, and I'm so sad that I can't go. But if you're still interested in that, you can find it at Felicity's website. I don't remember that off the top of my head, but if you search Felicity, you'll find it. And yeah, that's enough for me. So if there's one thing that you can remember, it's that I'm InfiNOT. Thanks for listening.